Hello and welcome to this new demonstration in Construct 3 where I will show you how to create a multiple drag and drop situation. Now, a single drag and drop in Construct 3 is pretty easy. You just have to give the drag drop behavior. That's it. But this demonstration, you will see that if I select a block like this, you can drag it around. That's easy. That's just the drag and drop behavior. But if I use the Shift key, I can select multiple and then drag the ball around. And furthermore, I can make a selection like that, and everything overlapping just comes along with it. And there's an extra option to snap to a grid like that. So let's see how this works actually. So let's start by looking at the layout. The layout contains all of these draggable blocks. You can see them here, and the draggable blocks actually have the pin behavior. And you can see here the pin behavior. It's not a drag and drop behavior. I'll show you why in a minute. It's got the pin behavior. There's also an instance variable called selected, which can be 1 or 0. And there's an effect called a polka dot effect, where you have some settings that take care of the little effect here that makes them selected. But as you see, they all are inherited from a family called icons, where all of these icons are in there. There's only one icon actually. You might ask yourself, why do you make a family if there's only one thing in it? Well, very simple. I'll show you in a minute. Over to the rest of the objects here. There is also an object here called a drag sprite, and it's this drag sprite that's got a drag drop behavior. It's this thing that's being dragged around, but as you can see, it's actually invisible, and that's the clue of what's happening here. That's how we can do a multiple drag and drop. And there's also this bluish selection area where it's this bluish selection area that is used to create the drag effect, the multi-select effect that you get when dragging around like this. This is the same thing actually here. So that's this selection that's making that selection possible. And then of course there's a little snap to grid checkbox. That's it. So how does it work in code? The code is divided up into little sections. Highlight selected is very simple. We just, whenever the icon is not selected, we disable the effect polka dots, and when it's selected, we enable the effect polka dots. Very simple. Let's first show how to select by area. Selecting by area is doing this. Oh, excuse me, it's doing this. Selecting by area, when the left mouse button is clicked and we're not hovering over an icon, we can just set the selection to the mouse position and deselect every icon on the screen. That's cool. And while the left mouse button is down and where the selection is still on screen, we can set the size. Mouse X minus selection X, Y minus Y. So it's actually sizing along with the mouse cursor. And then if it's released and it's still on the screen, the selection is still on the screen, every icon that's overlapping the selection is selected to 1. And just after that, we just remove this, the option from the screen, not by deleting it, but by setting the position somewhere off screen. So this is what happens. We start the selection not hovering over an icon. We increase the size and we let go. The selection is somewhere out of the screen. All right. So this is what happens with selecting by area. So you can see here everything. All it does is set a variable selected to 1. So how does the dragging actually work? Well, that we can see here. Actually, there is a drag sprite. I showed you earlier. This is the drag sprite, which is invisible, but this one has got the drag and drop behavior. So in essence, every trick the drag sprite is going to be going along with the mouse X and Y cursor. You just can't see it. And whenever the left mouse button is clicked, something happens. And we check if the keyboard shift key is down. If it's down, we're just going to invert a Boolean value of the icon. So we can say, okay, if it's selected is 0, then we need to make it 1, otherwise we make it 0, and that's what we do here. Yeah? But if it's clicked without shift, there's an extra thing we need to do, and that's deselecting every icon. And that is where the icons family comes in. Because whenever an icon is selected, we can check it here, left mouse button icon clicked. So the context of this trigger is actually this icon. And if we say to construct, okay, set selected to 0 for this individual icon, then we will just be setting it to 0 and setting it to 1 for that individual icon. That's why there is a family. All icons are in that family, and we can just say for all icons in the icons family, set selected to 0, so that's also including this icon. And for this individual icon, we set it to 1, and that's why you have the family. And for all of the icons that were selected, so where selected is 1, we pin it to the drag sprite. And once we're dragging the drag sprite, of course, we are dragging every pinned icon to it. Whenever we finish the dragging, we unpin it, and then we check if the snap to grid checkbox is checked, and then we set the position to a grid size, which is here specified by a global width and a global variables grid width and grid height. So that's it. As always, please like and subscribe. I will be putting a link in the description where you can get the free template for this. I hope you liked it, and see you next time.